Yo guys, what's up? Chris Warren here. We're going to be doing a breakdown video today, going over a commercial I shot. I'm hoping to release more of these throughout 2023. Let's get into it. All right, so this is the opening shot of the spot. We do a nice slider push in to this wall of beautiful tools. So how I approach this, the director James Robinson, he gave me references to Indiana Jones, and he wanted it dark and moody. And so here, we did a little bit of a light flicker effect in post, but I just armed out a 1x1 Astra, skirted a little bit. I balanced the color temp to that to 5,000. The practical in the garage was about 4,400, 45. And yeah, so we do this nice push in, and really simple, honestly. Just keep it toppy, let the light fall off all around. We were just in a garage practical location. And so, yeah. Now what's cool though, if you look off to the frame right side over here, this cinder block wall is actually styrofoam. So you see this tube along the top here and like these hoses. So this is the director's actual garage. These are his tools. That's why he also production designed the spot. But so there's actually a giant dust collecting tank back here. And when we were doing the scouts and stuff and kind of blocking shots, he can't really move it without taking everything out. And so it just looked really, really ugly. And so him and I talked about, well, what if we just, blocked it out somehow with like a fake wall? And so he came up with buying a couple pieces of styrofoam. He cut these grooves, and he painted it and put it together. And we're hiding that, and with this cinder block wall that just kind of looks natural. And so so that's the opening shot of the spot. Next, we move into the reverse of that. So this is more of the Indiana Jones reference on this shot. We do a nice push in on our male talent here. And, he's looking at that wall of tools, all happy, all proud to get into it. And same lighting concept. I had that 1x1 Astra skirted to 5,000 Kelvin, just armed out right above him. Had the natural floor bounce of the garage. Yeah, I do want to note that this was shot on an Blackmagic Design Ursa Mini Pro G2 model. Standard settings, probably around like 800 ISO. We did use the Sigma Cine 18 to 35 T2. I was wide open the whole time on this. And so what's interesting though is the reverse shot in the garage. So behind me is the wall of tools. Looking at him in the garage, James has a bunch of shelving units with boxes and bicycle hanging up. It's a lived-in garage, and he wanted to hide that because one, it doesn't look great. Two, he didn't want to have to take the time to move everything out. So we actually just put up a green screen behind this talent, and keyed it out, and then just put in a grayish brick wall to kind of match the production design from the other side. And if you're really looking at it, you can tell, but the shot itself is a matter of seconds. Yeah, came out pretty cool. So another shot that we'll be covering is this little sequence that was shot at 300 frames a second of our talent sawing a board, and then the board falls down and does this really cool hit. And so for this, same approach. It was the 1x1 Astra with a skirt armed out right above. It's just moving that light for these specific shots. We brought in a 4x4 neg solid here on the right side of frame over here, just to help give some contrast to it. And then we actually added in a bounce card on the frame left, just to kind of get a little bit more back onto like the saw and everything. We actually did window this a little bit in post just to bring up the exposure just a little bit. So it wasn't all done on the day. The grade did help. But again, we were shooting at 300 frames a second just to do these epic speed ramps. So another shot here, it's kind of hard to tell what exactly this is. but this is the board falling after being cut there. And again, like we lined it up, we planted a bunch, we collected a bunch of sawdust, made a nice big pile of it, and we lowered the 4x4 neg onto the floor. We brought the bounce card onto the floor. I brought down the 1x1 Astra. I mean, it must have just been, I don't know, probably 2 feet off the ground, just right above this shot. The camera, we're laying it right on the ground. It's set right on the ground. We did this take, I think, about 3 times. And on our third time, or this was our second time, which was success. First one, it was a little off. Pick it up, review it. All right, we do this one. And mind you, 300 frames. And because the camera is shooting in such a high frame rate, you have to go down on the resolution of the camera. So it was all shot at 2K, BRaw, 300 frames, as uncompressed as possible. And so, also because it was 2K, crops in on the sensor, which is why I opted for the 18 to 35. Because honestly, like, I get my focus is a little bit better on the crop sensor, just because you're cropping in on 18, even though everything's mostly in focus on a wide. Push it in, kind of helps a little bit. And then when you go 35, you're even pushed in a little bit. So 2K, our second try, we got this one. And, you always want to try again. After the third time, it wasn't working, so we wanted to move on. We got it. We did it. Pretty cool shot. So definitely, if you get a chance, check out the spot. And so here is the, I guess, turnaround of this sequence. So the sequence cuts back and forth with him sawing the board and him looking, and after that shot where it falls and hits the ground, we cut back to him. He lifts up the saw. He's all happy and proud. So pretty much same thing here because we're in this contained location. So the 1x1 Astro, armed out, that's given me my overhead top look. We brought in that bounce card frame left just to give a little more fill on that. Frame right to create that contrast on the side of his face right here. You see all that contrast? So that's the 4x4 neg. And then we actually, if you notice right here on his chin and neck, I don't know if it's anywhere else really, but just to give that along his cheek, chin, and neck, I actually had a 2-foot nanlite pavo tube right out of frame. I mean, it must have been full intensity. No, maybe not full intensity. Maybe half or so, but I mean, it's right out of frame just to give that little bit. Again, shooting at 300 frames a second, my exposure, I mean, you had to pump so much light onto this. And shooting in this darker space to really get that contrast. And so that tube light is right behind there, giving that edge. I mean, it's a tool spot. High frame rate speed ramps, you get all the cool action shots, right? So this one, I mean, we must have done 7 or 8 different tools, like just showing them off and doing really cool things with them. And this was one shot I actually really liked. I mean, the drill, the 1x1 Astro overhead, the practical in the garage is on back there. That's hitting the back wall, styrofoam wall. And what's cool about this tool is, obviously, it just was spitting out chips of wood. So that was cool in slow motion. But then also, the tool itself has a built-in LED light, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. It's just going along. I mean, it's some sort of specific saw to cut out these designs, but it was cool. Just to see it in slow mo, doing some speed ramps. Everything's flying all around. It was pretty cool. One of my favorite shots, definitely in this spot. And then, then definitely just bringing in the neg on the side, just to help create some sort of contrast. I mean, probably overall, the spot maybe didn't need any of that just because it was so sourcey with the light and so minimal. Do it anyways. Probably helped. So then this shot, moved that as far back in the garage, went back to normal speed. So I shot this at a flat 24, and this is a garage door opening reveal shot. Same deal like we had on our frame right here. Is that practical? It's just two standard tubes that are for 4400 that you find at Home Depot or Lowe's, and a fixture. And then I had the nag over here, just trying to create some contrast. I think it's working mostly on his arm here and on his tool belt. I moved the light a little bit over so it's kind of backy, the 1x1 overhead. Moved it a little bit so it's just a little bit backy, and then the floor and the wood that we had is this lighter color wood, so it's also acting a little bit as a bounce. So that's all bouncing back at him, and this may seem weird, like why is he shirtless? I mean, there's many more shots in this spot that I'm not covering. But we have this whole sequence where he takes off his shirt and everything like that, and like wipes his forehead. Some other cool tool shots and whatnot. But so this is kind of the big reveal for the spot. So the garage door starts to go up. As you can see, we're down here where the feet are of the next talent. It's blown out. And we knew through storyboarding and through planning that we weren't going to see them together in this shot. It was never intended for this door to go all the way up and for him to be looking at the talent over here and to see the two of them in the shot. It was never intended. So that was a big break for me. I didn't have to worry about balancing exposures. We knew what we were getting in pre-production, and I was like, yeah, as long as we do the turnaround, his reaction, we're good. And yeah, we were able to just go by the shot list and the storyboards, and I think it worked out pretty good. So the turnaround of that, it's just, I mean, this is easy stuff. Like, I still had that 1x1 up top. It's not really doing much at this point. By the time we were here, is probably right after lunch. We have natural daylight coming in. We had to do the shot of the garage door opening and his reaction being shocked at, who's opening the door on my time while I'm working. Believe it or not, we tried it practically, and the garage door was too slow. And so we ended up doing the effect in post with creating a opaque layer, dialing in the intensity that we wanted, and then keyframing it to go up. And then you add in the garage door noise, and it sells, So if you're ever in that situation and you have to have some sort of like lift up door reveal and it's not working out for you, you can do it in post these days. As he has that look of shock on his face, it's revealed that his wife is standing there. And she says something along the lines of using my tools again. And, it cuts back to him and he's all defeated and everything. But this was a pretty cool shot to do. We had Neg on the side to bring in some contrast. We softened the sun with an 8x8 overhead quarter grid. And then as the sunlight is behind her and coming in, I just had an ultra bounce on the frame right, 8x8 ultra bounce, just to kind of kick back some of that sunlight. Yeah, I think overall, we were at wide open at our longest 35, and I think the shot came out really nice. I think this is probably my favorite shot of the commercial. I'm pretty happy with it. Then after a little bit of back and forth, like use my tools again, and he's all defeated and walks out. She says, "Babe." He turns, and then she has this snarky little comment here. So now we're looking back into the garage. The garage door is actually open. We got all this natural daylight bleeding in. Still had the garage practical on over here at 4400. I still had the 1x1. You could see it a little bit. It's a little bit of a top light for her. That's skirted, and I will say I'm probably adjusting intensities here and there as I'm raising and lowering the physical height of the light. I'm also adjusting the intensity because it's got a little dimmer switch on it, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's it. Like, really, one light and sunlight, right? At least for a small contained spot like this. And then if you look closely, you can kind of see the seam and the styrofoam wall back there of the two parts. And, you know, he painted the walls. And yeah, he got his garage looking really nice for this spot. But pretty cool shot and spot. And finally, lastly, we have the branding logo spot. We have this nice shot of her. We positioned her where we'd like against the workbench. The sunlight's just bleeding in. Still had the practical on. Brought in the 4x4 neg a little bit to create that contrast. And yeah, it's just this nice shot of the tool belt. And boom, puts in the drill. Logo comes up. Just a good way to end the spot. I mean, all in all, we shot this interaction first, wrapped her, then just did more of like the cool slow-mo tool shots. So it was a cool day. So there you have it, guys. This was a breakdown on a DeWalt tool commercial I shot. If you have any questions or comments on the spot, leave them down below. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And I encourage you to go check out the spot as well. It's here on my YouTube channel. All right, guys, that does it. Peace.